A massive glowing rift tears through the sky right above a totally normal morning commute, where a bus full of high schoolers is heading toward their mandatory superpower awakening day. But our boy suddenly snaps awake with the look of a man who just survived death. Realizing he actually traveled back in time, he stares at his clueless classmates in disbelief, recognizing this exact morning as the calm before their entire city gets wiped off the map. With only 2 years left before the apocalypse, he needs to prepare for the incoming chaos. A nightmare that started over a decade ago when giant portals unleashed endless waves of monsters, instantly rendering humanity's high-tech weapons and nuclear bombs completely useless due to magical interference. Luckily, humans adapted by unlocking magical RPG classes to fight back against the beastly invaders, turning society into a real-life video game where only the strongest hunters survive the meat grinder. To kickstart their careers, every 18-year-old must visit a giant demon rift to unlock their class, where combat and support roles get all the glory while crafters get treated like glorified janitors. And in his past life, our boy ended up with a bottom-tier F-rank crafting class. But his secret talent was a broken cheat skill called Modify, turning absolute trash into divine treasure. Naturally, the greedy top brass immediately locked him up in a fancy hall to exploit his powers, forcing him to mass-produce legendary weapons until they realized his insane potential actually terrified them. So they threw him in a dark cell to keep him weak and completely under their thumb, until a level 96 dragon conveniently spawned right on top of him to erase his existence. Facing certain death, he used his cheat skill to rewrite his revived talent into a rebirth spell, sending his soul back in time to rewrite history with a massive head start. Reborn at the absolute brink of death, our boy Jongyen watches the massive blue rift loom ahead, realizing that in this second chance at life, the only person he can truly trust is himself. So he vows to keep his broken modification cheat a total secret from the world, knowing that protecting his loved ones and saving his doomed city depends entirely on his silence. This time, he will quietly build his power in the shadows to rewrite their tragic future, arriving at the massive Hunter Association headquarters where a giant purple magic circle dominates the skyline, while his clueless classmates panic about potentially awakening a useless, low-tier crafting class. Little do they know, Zhang Yan is already a legendary academic and combat genius destined for greatness, which immediately triggers his salty second-place rival Yang Hongwei to start talking trash, smugly mocking how even top-tier mana geniuses can easily awaken useless F-rank classes. This teacher pushes Zhang Yan to go first, hoping his genius status rubs off on everyone else, leading the class up the massive stone steps toward the Grand Awakening platform, where an official barks out his name to initiate the high-stakes ceremony. Walking toward the glowing blue altar, our boy keeps his cool under 100 watchful eyes, knowing exactly what trash-tier class awaits him since he already lived through this nightmare once. Meanwhile, his anxious classmates pray his legendary mana pool lands him a god-tier combat role, while his salty rival quietly prays for a total disaster to satisfy his own fragile ego. Reaching the pedestal, Zhang Yan raises his hand toward the swirling magical sphere, and the moment his palm makes contact, a blinding surge of golden energy erupts, engulfing the entire hall in a spectacular light show that leaves everyone completely breathless. This blinding light fades to reveal a massive system screen displaying the word Repairman, confirming that despite his perfect mana affinity, he just unlocked a bottom-tier F-rank crafting class, leaving his teacher clutching his head in absolute despair over his star student's tragic luck. Meanwhile, his salty rival Yang Hongwei immediately bursts into hysterical laughter at the hilarious downgrade, absolutely thrilled that the school's top genius has finally been dragged down to his level. Even the proctor tries to offer some pity, suggesting he can always open a nice repair shop. But before anyone can write him off, the magical sphere suddenly crackles with wild blue lightning, shocking the proctor as he realizes Jing Yangyan is actually triggering a rare second-class awakening, which sends the stunned teacher into a frenzy, hoping this miracle can save his student's career. And right on cue, a massive golden vortex erupts to rewrite his destiny in spectacular fashion. A golden vortex settles, revealing his second class is none other than a lowly farmer. His status screen confirms the ultimate joke of a dual awakening, featuring 2 F-rank crafting classes. This crowd stands completely frozen, unable to comprehend how a genius pulled off such legendary bad luck. Meanwhile, his salty rival Yang Hongwei practically bursts a lung, laughing at this historic double downgrade. Ignoring the mockery, our boy calmly steps down from the platform with absolute confidence in his stride. Behind him, the teacher sighs in deep pity, mourning the loss of a legendary career. Everyone watches him walk away, convinced his hard work in academics and combat was entirely wasted. But Zhang Yan just smirks, fully aware that these bottom-tier classes are actually the perfect cover, because hidden beneath the trashy titles lies his real weapon, a cheat skill that breaks reality, revealing the broken talent Modify, which is destined to turn absolute garbage into divine gear. Activating his cheat skill, Zhang Yan immediately swaps his useless farming talent for a legendary revive spell. This broken modification talent rewrites a garbage crop growing buff into a literal cheat code, and with this ultimate insurance policy secured, he knows he holds the perfect trump card. Soon after, he stands before the massive freshman ranking tower dominating the city center, planning to dominate the leaderboards with his supposedly trash classes to shock the world. His ultimate goal is to monopolize the best resources and reach the absolute peak, which brings him straight to the novice training base filled with weak captive rift monsters. A perfectly safe grinding zone designed to give rookies the maximum possible experience points. But our boy is not just here to level up like a normal student. He intends to shatter the speedrun record to secure his ticket to the country's best university. This registration officer looks over Zhang Yan's file, completely baffled by his legendary double F rating. He asks if the kid is seriously planning to run the novice dungeon entirely solo, warning him that F-rank crafters usually need a solid party just to survive the first floor. But Zhang Yan just shrugs it off, calmly demanding they hand over his basic starter gear, leaving the instructors to sigh in pity, assuming he is just in deep, delusional denial. Reluctantly, the guard hands over a basic iron sword along with a pair of leather boots, which is actually an upgrade from his past life where he only got the cheap sword, yielding a grand total of 5 extra attack power and a whopping 3 points of speed. While he appreciates the pity boots, he knows these guys are totally writing him off as dead, so he casually strolls into the dungeon, ignoring their warnings about the terrifying starter rabbits. Waving off the guards, Jiangyan steps into the dungeon with absolute confidence, as the heavy metal security doors slam shut behind him with a resounding thud, prompting him to immediately activate his broken cheat skill, Modify, to upgrade his gear. Instantly, his basic iron sword and leather boots transform into high-tier steel and wind gear, which could easily become legendary weapons if he pushed his broken talent to the limit, but keeping a low profile is crucial with surveillance cameras watching his every move. After all, he remembers all too well how showing off his power got him imprisoned before, meaning these modest upgrades are more than enough to breeze through the novice zone. Standing before the massive glowing gateway, he reviews the layout of the 3 training zones, aiming straight for the boss zone to shatter the speedrun record and shock the world. Stepping into the dark, industrial-looking dungeon, Zhang Yan sets his sights on the boss-tier charging rabbit. But first, he has to deal with a pack of aggressive, crystal-armored level 1 rabbits. He needs to slaughter at least 100 of these pests to hit level 5. And right on cue, the demonic rodents screech and launch a coordinated headbutt assault, revealing a massive endless wave of glowing red eyes rushing straight down the path. Unsheathing his upgraded steel sword, our boy prepares to turn this rookie dungeon into a blender, easily slicing through the first charging beast with a single effortless swing of his blade, before spinning into a whirlwind of blue slashes that shreds the entire pack to pieces, hoping this massive slaughter will catapult his level straight to 10 in record time, because reaching that milestone unlocks a god-tier innate skill capable of creating ultimate demonic beasts. With his cheat skill active, Zhang Yan focuses on pushing his limits to become truly unstoppable. Meanwhile, he remembers his arrogant rival Yang Hongwei is currently stepping up for his own awakening, and right on cue, the proctor calls out the salty rival to take the stage. Desperate to beat Zhang Yan's double F rating, the bully prays for literally any decent combat class, triggering a massive explosion of golden energy that completely floods the entire awakening hall, which solidifies into a legendary system notification revealing his newly unlocked Berserker class. Realizing he scored a high-tier A-rank combat role, the loudmouth immediately bursts into obnoxious celebration, leaving the crowd utterly stunned that the perpetual runner-up has finally surpassed the fallen genius, prompting Yang Hongwei to smugly declare that his days of playing second fiddle are officially over, as he flashes a sinister grin, completely convinced he is now the undisputed king of the school. Yang Hongwei strikes a victory pose, screaming his own name to ensure the entire hall hears him. Naturally, his sycophantic lackeys immediately swarm him, eagerly trash-talking Zhang Yan to secure some easy favor. This newly minted berserker smugly laments that the double F trash isn't around to witness his glorious moment, until one of the lackeys points out that the fallen genius headed toward the novice training base. Grinning maliciously, Yang Hongwei rallies his crew to go help our boy, clearly hunting for a public beatdown. Watching them leave, the teacher sighs in deep concern, knowing the wealthy bully is out for blood. He remembers how Zhang Yan worked harder than anyone, studying in empty classrooms late into the night, pushing his body to the absolute limit on the running track until it was painful to watch, leaving the instructor completely baffled by how such relentless dedication resulted in the most useless F-rank classes. Meanwhile, a mysterious purple-haired rival sucking on a lollipop smirks, knowing F-rank classes won't stop Zhang Yan's rise. This purple-haired rival is Wang Qingfeng, the school's second-place ranker who closely watched Zhang Yan's insane work ethic, remembering how our boy completely destroyed his ego and humbled him during their freshman year finals. And now that the salty Yang Hongwei is hunting for trouble, he decides to follow along, because nobody else is allowed to defeat his ultimate rival except for him, daring anyone else to lay a single finger on the genius he respects so much. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, Zhang Yan catches his breath after wiping out 100 monsters, sitting atop a massive mountain of slain beasts with only the final boss left, which turns out to be a level 5 charging rabbit king packing a crystal-armored head. Even though his body is severely exhausted, our boy is just 1 kill away from leveling up, so he braces himself as the giant rodent charges forward to end his run. This massive rabbit king barrels forward, its glowing crystal horn primed for a devastating headbutt. Knowing a direct clash means instant death, Zhang Yan prepares to dodge with his wind-infused boots. while the giant rodent unleashes its signature flame headbutt skill to crush him into paste. But our boy just snaps his fingers, activating his broken modify talent right on cue, rewriting the beast's ultimate attack into a self-destruct sequence that turns its own skull into a bomb. Instantly, the glowing crystal on the rabbit's head overloads with unstable magical energy, detonating in a spectacular blast that completely vaporizes the boss in a single second. Leaving Zhangyan standing victorious as the massive experience boost finally pushes him to level 5. Outside, the public leaderboard flashes a shocking announcement that the novice speedrun record has been shattered, sending the onlookers into absolute chaos as they realize a trash-class crafter just halved the historic record. Staring at the leaderboard in disbelief, Yang Hongwei immediately convinces himself that Zhangyan must have cheated. He looks up at the massive screen, plotting to ruin the genius's reputation once and for all. Smirking with absolute malice, the salty rival vows to personally tear off Zhang Yan's fake mask. Meanwhile, inside the dungeon, our boy sits on a rock while activating a glowing green regeneration buff. Remembering his past life, he recalls how the terrifying Cyclone Wolf King absolutely wrecked him back then. But instead of backing down, he firmly grips his upgraded sword and stands right back up. Walking forward with his blade resting casually on his shoulder, he prepares to collect some serious interest. Soon, he arrives at the entrance of the notorious Cyclone Wolf Base, a literal slaughterhouse for rookies. This deadly zone features high-level wolves that easily outclass any normal freshman entering the dungeon, making it a place of pure suffering where unprepared students are regularly torn to pieces. This massive steel gates of the Cyclone Wolf Base slowly grind open, promising insane high-tier rewards, as surviving this brutal zone is the fastest way to jump straight to level 10. While normal freshmen spend 10 grueling days grinding just to reach that double-digit milestone, Zhang Yan only needs to clear this wolf-infested wasteland once to unlock his next innate skill, which will finally grant him the legal permit to hunt out in the wild completely solo. Standing at the entrance, the registration officer asks if the kid has a death wish, warning him that even an A-rank genius got absolutely mauled here and missed his exams, before scoffing at our boy, calling him a delusional dueled F-rank piece of trash. Instead of getting mad, Zhang Yan just smiles politely and says his mind is already made up, prompting the annoyed guard to open the gates and let him walk straight into the meat grinder. Walking down the dark corridor, Zhang Yan completely ignores the insults of the arrogant guard, as a pack of bloodthirsty, red-eyed cyclone wolves emerges to tear him to shreds. But instead of backing away, our boy sprints directly into the open danger zone, unsheathing his glowing, upgraded blade to test his strength against the deadly beasts. Watching from the safety of the observation deck, the smug officer laughs at his apparent suicide mission, convinced that a double F-rank trash class has absolutely no business surviving this level of threat. Suddenly, Zhang Yan unleashes a flurry of blinding blue slashes, racking up experience points with every swing, leaving the watching guard completely speechless as the kid casually dominates without even using a skill. Sweating profusely, the arrogant instructor begins to realize he might have severely misjudged this supposed loser, who now sits triumphantly atop a massive mountain of slain wolves like a true conqueror. This arrogant registration officer sweats bullets, utterly horrified to realize the kid is actually a certified genius. Terrified of getting humiliated, the cowardly guard slips away before Zhang Yan can walk out and confront him. Meanwhile, our boy kneels atop a mountain of dead wolves, barely surviving the onslaught at level 9. Fortunately, his newly unlocked regeneration skill patches up his broken body at the cost of some mana. Standing tall, he admits these wolves are leagues ahead of those basic rabbits in speed and power. Even though the healing skill fixed his flesh, the lingering phantom pain still burns like absolute hell. Unsheathing his bloody sword from a carcass, his eyes burn with a cold, unwavering determination. Knowing these minor pains are nothing compared to changing his destiny, he senses a massive threat approaching. A deafening roar echoes through the cavern as a giant, bloodthirsty beast bares its razor-sharp fangs, revealing the level 10 Cyclone Wolf King ready to end his run in a final clash. Staring down the giant beast, Zhang Yan quickly analyzes its two high-speed wind skills, which boost the monster's agility and unleash ranged slicing attacks with lethal precision. But modifying these complex abilities on the fly is too risky to attempt right now, leaving him with a massive, bloodthirsty predator barreling straight toward his face. So our boy decides to solve this the old-fashioned way by ripping his shirt off, proving that his raw physical stats are more than enough to handle a mere boss, as he leaps high into the air to deliver a devastating downward strike, reminding everyone that he was the top-ranked combat genius long before unlocking any cheat skills. Meanwhile, back at the entrance, a group of battered rookies celebrates barely surviving their run, only to get immediately chewed out by the guards for trespassing into the advanced zone. Yang Hongwei fumes in absolute disbelief, unable to comprehend how Zhang Yan cleared the boss zone solo. Venting his pathetic rage, the salty bully punches his own lackey while screaming about blatant cheating. But his crew can only stare in horror, realizing the record was shattered by 30 minutes. Staring up at the massive leaderboard, the humiliated rival plots his next move under the open sky. Grinning with pure malice, he vows to expose our boy's supposed tricks and ruin his reputation. He rallies his sycophants toward the Cyclone Wolf Base, eager to witness a public humiliation firsthand. Meanwhile, a bloody sword stands victorious in the carcass of the final beast under the blazing sun. Having survived the brutal gauntlet, Zhang stands tall as he finally hits the level 10 milestone. Instantly, the system rewards his hard work by unlocking two brand new innate skills for his dual classes, leaving our boy ecstatic as his updated status screen confirms he finally obtained the ultimate cheat setup. Zhang activates his broken modify talent to upgrade his newly unlocked crafter skill, instantly transforming a basic plant grafting ability into the god-tier all things grafting skill, which allows him to fuse different monster genes to create the ultimate demonic beast. Though the initial success rate for a superior fusion sits at a measly 10%, leveling this broken ability to max guarantees a flawless 100% success rate every single time. This means he can easily mash two high-tier A-rank monsters together to birth an S-rank titan. And by using a Beast Tamer scroll to bind these custom-made abominations to his will, our boy can build an army of loyal god-tier battle pets to do his dirty work. Remembering how his former allies ruthlessly exploited his talents in his previous life, Zhang Yan vows to make those shadowy backstabbers pay back every single debt with interest. Zhang Yan grips his sword tightly, swearing to turn his dual-class abilities into his ultimate exclusive power, surveying the battlefield of dead wolves before deciding it is finally time to head back. But then a rare green magic crystal drops from the carcass of the Wolf King. Unfortunately, base rules dictate that any loot found inside this training zone belongs to the association, meaning he needs to hit the wilderness outside the rift to keep his hard-earned treasures, though his body suddenly reminds him of the brutal toll this solo run took, leaving him shivering from deep, non-fatal wounds that his basic healing skills cannot fully patch up. Too broke for hospital bills, he casually decides to kill himself just to trigger a free revive. Except doing it right in front of the local guards would definitely raise some awkward questions, so he quietly slips away to find a nice secluded spot to commit tactical suicide. Zhang Yan steps out of the dungeon gates, expecting a quiet exit to handle his business, only to find himself walking straight into a massive plaza packed with hundreds of noisy students, leaving our boy completely bewildered as he wonders why a massive crowd has suddenly gathered. Suddenly, an excited student points him out, shouting that the legendary record breaker has finally arrived, prompting Zhang Yan to realize his insane speedrun has drawn the attention of the entire academy. Walking through the whispering crowd, he realizes committing tactical suicide here is completely out of the question, since triggering a flashy revive in public would instantly expose his most guarded secrets to everyone. So he desperately tries to find an escape route to shake off his growing fanbase, before a blinding golden light suddenly erupts as a majestic winged entity descends from the sky, shocking the onlookers who instantly recognize the legendary S-rank support class known as Holy Angel. Descending from the heavens is Yao Kekshin, a gorgeous healer from the prestigious Yao family, sending the surrounding crowd into a frenzy as they recognize the legendary high-class prodigy, while her warm, angelic light washes over Jiang Yan and instantly mends his broken bones. Staring at him with quiet curiosity, the beautiful healer seems intrigued by his mysterious aura, prompting our boy to step forward and politely thank her for saving him a massive hospital bill, before offering to repair her high-tier gear in exchange for her invaluable support skills in the future. She flashes a sweet smile, happily accepting the deal since top-tier crafters are incredibly hard to find. Suddenly, the salty rival Yang Hongwei shoves his way through the crowd to ruin the wholesome moment, loudly accusing Zhang Yan of being a fraud who cheated his way to the top of the leaderboard, pointing a dramatic finger while claiming a double F-rank trash class could never achieve such greatness. This shocked crowd whispers in disbelief, unable to comprehend how a useless F-rank crafter broke the record. Yang Hongwei steps forward to declare that Zhang Yan must have bought insanely overpowered gear to cheat, mocking our boy for resorting to pathetic tricks after failing to surpass him for 3 whole years. Another student points out that Zhang Yan is famously broke, making expensive gear completely out of reach, which gives the salty rival the perfect excuse to accuse him of scamming the school's financial aid. Instantly, the gullible crowd turns on our boy, muttering about how disgusting it is to steal aid. Instead of panicking, Zhang Yan calmly asks if they want him to prove his innocence right here, prompting the smug bully to demand a duel without gear to prove he isn't a fraud. But before he can accept, Yao Kekshin steps in to warn him against falling for the trap. Smiling warmly, our boy thanks the beautiful healer before preparing to teach his rival a painful lesson. Planting his sword firmly into the ground, Zhang Yan calmly accepts the salty bully's challenge, knowing he must eliminate this annoying distraction before it interferes with his future leveling plans. This arrogant rival immediately bursts into a fit of rage, boasting about his prestigious A-rank class, before unleashing his level 1 Berserk skill to boost his physical stats by 30%. Standing opposite the blazing red aura, our boy remains completely unfazed by the theatrical display, quietly mocking his opponent's loud mouth while hoping he can actually back up his words, since relying solely on class superiority is a rookie mistake that won't work on him. Loosening his wrists, the kid prepares to handle this entire fight with his bare hands, taking a solid combat stance to prove that raw skill easily trumps any system-given class, leaving the onlookers horrified as an A-rank powerhouse prepares to obliterate a supposed F-rank crafter. Yao Kekshin watches with deep concern, fully convinced this duel is completely unfair to our boy. But Zhang Yan remains incredibly relaxed, knowing his raw combat experience is more than enough. Having unequipped all his gear beforehand, he stands barefoot to avoid raising any unwanted suspicions. This salty rival immediately charges forward, his fists blazing with red-hot rage as he screams for blood, only to look utterly dumbfounded when his opening strike misses our boy's face by a mile. Refusing to accept reality, the furious bully swings again with even more desperate, unhinged power. He unleashes a rapid barrage of heavy punches, determined to land at least one solid hit, yet Zhang Yan effortlessly weaves through the chaotic storm of fists like a seasoned ghost. Our boy calmly analyzes the raw power of the A-rank Berserker class while casually dodging, proving that even the most devastating attack is completely useless if it can never actually land. Zhang Yan casually points out that throwing blind punches is just a massive waste of stamina, reminding the bully that his predictable moves have been thoroughly memorized over the last 3 years, before delivering a swift, devastating counterstrike that leaves the arrogant rival coughing up blood. Gravity quickly takes over as the humiliated bully crashes hard onto the stone pavement, while our boy stands tall, casually declaring himself the undisputed winner of this pathetic duel. This stunned crowd watches in absolute disbelief as a trash-tier crafter easily dismantles an elite berserker. Dusting off his hands, Zhang Yan decides he has wasted enough precious time on these amateurs, planning his next move into the dangerous wilderness where he can finally farm some real loot. Since his broken modify skill can easily turn any basic weapon into a god-tier blade, our boy heads toward the local street stalls to buy cheap base gear for his next upgrade. Looking down at his pathetic pocket change, Zhang Yan sighs at his complete lack of funds. Suddenly, a surprise fist flies toward his head from behind, but his sharp senses instantly react. Turning around with effortless grace, he casually blocks the sneak attack without breaking a sweat. It turns out to be his purple-haired rival, who praises him for maintaining his top-tier combat instincts, before tossing our boy a cold drink to celebrate his recent victory over the school bully. Walking through the plaza, the duo chats about the fight while sipping on their sodas. This purple-haired rival admits Zhang Yan is the only worthy opponent he actually respects. But then he smugly claims he wasn't even trying during their legendary first-year duel, prompting a quick flashback to their intense matchback when they were just fresh-faced rookies, where the bruised rival was actually forced to raise his hand and desperately beg for mercy. Zhang Yan points out that his rival has forfeited their matches every single year since then, guessing the wealthy kid was just trying to let him win the first-place scholarship money, but the rival laughs it off, claiming Zhang Yan's eyes were just way too terrifyingly intense, prompting our boy to ask if he plans on surrendering again at the upcoming national tournament. This rival smirks, promising to absolutely wreck him and knock his teeth out next time, sparking a friendly but fierce promise to go all out in their next inevitable clash. Clinking their soda cans together, the two rivals seal their pact under the cherry blossoms, before the wealthy kid suddenly tosses over a black card loaded with 2,000 credits, demanding Zhang Yan's secret speedrun strategy for the wolf dungeon in exchange for the cash. Our boy happily accepts the easy money, watching his friend disappear into the bustling city streets. Grateful for the sudden financial boost, Zhang Yan vows to repay his wealthy rival tenfold in the future, and with a loaded credit card in hand, he heads straight toward the local street stalls, eager to see what kind of cheap, upgradable gear is waiting to be bought. His search leads him deep into a sketchy, narrow alleyway housing the city's notorious black market, where desperate vendors peddle basic junk that most high-tier hunters wouldn't even glance at. While finding actual treasure here is rare, our boy knows his broken talent makes nothing impossible, before a sketchy merchant's display of second-hand weapons immediately catches his sharp eye, specifically a decent E-rank Demonfall blade that is currently embedded with a rare magic crystal. Unfortunately, the shady vendor demands a ridiculous 18,000 credits for the damaged weapon, prompting Zhang Yan to quickly pivot to a much cheaper 5,000 credit sword instead. He pulls up the stats of a basic E-rank bronze sword with terrible durability, offering to repair the merchant's expensive blade if he throws in the junk sword for free, which completely blindsides the shady vendor, who cannot believe this kid actually knows how to repair gear. Activating his durability skill, Zhang Yan prepares to work his magic while secretly targeting a completely different weapon. Turns out his real objective was never the overpriced blade, but rather a hidden azure steel sword, knowing it can easily be modified into a legendary weapon of mass destruction once he upgrades it. Skeptical of his claims, the merchant smugly questions if a mere student even possesses a proper repair skill, prompting our boy to casually summon his glowing mana while revealing his supposed F-rank repairman status, leaving the vendor utterly dumbfounded since he happens to be a superior D-rank blacksmith himself, as he warns the kid that restoring weapon durability is far too complex for a basic amateur, explaining how a weapon completely shatters once its durability stat drops down to 0, requiring a blacksmith to perfectly sense the internal magical flow to fix it, which is why the shady vendor demands 18,000 credits if our boy fails. Even Yao Kekshitson starts worrying, knowing that high-ranking professionals struggle with such delicate repairs, but Zhang Yan just tells them to watch closely as he grabs the blade, recalling his past life where he regularly restored legendary S-rank treasures for elite heroes. While ordinary F-rank crafters usually give up, he spent years desperately honing his skills, turning that relentless work ethic into his ultimate cheat code in this new world. And with a sudden surge of mana, the broken weapon's internal circuits light up, leaving the crowd speechless as he effortlessly restores the blade like it was child's play. Onlookers watch in absolute awe, unable to believe an F-rank student possesses such god-tier repair skills. Even Yao Kexin stands frozen, realizing his earlier offer to fix her high-tier gear wasn't just empty flirting. Presenting the fully restored Demonfall blade, Zhangyan casually hands it back with its durability completely maxed out. This shady merchant immediately flips his attitude, showering our boy with praise after realizing he is a genius. Happily keeping his end of the bargain, the vendor tosses over the seemingly useless junk sword for free. Zhangyan takes the rusty blade, secretly preparing to rewrite its code and unlock its true, godlike potential. Pulling up the basic E-rank stats, he decides to swap a single character in the weapon's name. Instantly, a blinding golden light erupts as the cheap metal transforms into a legendary pseudo-divine weapon, unleashing the phantom of an ancient general who once single-handedly decimated entire armies on the battlefield. Smiling himself, our boy celebrates saving his pocket money since upcoming college tuition will definitely be expensive. Remembering his parents' passing, Zhang Yan worries about his traumatized little sister who still hasn't recovered. Knowing she has a bright future, he still needs to secure enough living expenses before heading off to university. Suddenly, Yao Kexin approaches him with a surprising offer to hire him as her personal leveling guide, promising a massive 50,000 credit reward just to help her S-rank Holy Angel class reach level 10. Zhang Yan immediately accepts the deal, thrilled to secure such an easy and incredibly lucrative gig, quietly celebrating how easily his financial troubles are dissolving right before his very eyes. Turning back to the shady merchant, the wealthy healer demands to purchase the newly restored Demonfall blade, prompting the greedy vendor to immediately jack up the price to 25,000 credits, only for her to casually pull out a high-end storage ring to pay the full amount, leaving the stunned merchant bowing in absolute reverence as he hands over the legendary weapon. Zhang Yan notes that Yao Kexin's high-end gear makes her massive 50,000 credit offer completely believable, but the wealthy healer immediately struggles to even lift her heavy new sword, prompting our boy to realize her top-tier support skills will be perfect for hunting high-level bosses. Suddenly, she nervously holds out the massive blade, offering it as a humble first meeting gift, leaving our boy completely stunned by how incredibly polite and generous this rich girl actually is. Happily accepting the legendary weapon, Zhang Yan thanks her before she can change her mind, while Yao Kexin secretly decides that entering this mysterious F-rank genius is a brilliant move. With no time to waste, the duo heads straight toward the city's rookie training base, arriving at a massive state-of-the-art facility designed specifically for low-level hunters to grind, where Zhang Yan immediately begins obliterating monsters at lightning speed, boosting her level in seconds. Slicing through high-level monsters like butter, Zhang Yan effortlessly shatters multiple dungeon speedrun records in a row, while the public announcement boards back in the city plaza light up with their names, sending the local students into an absolute frenzy over his mysterious new high society partner, as they desperately try to figure out which elite family she actually belongs to. Turns out her family runs one of the nation's most powerful merchant associations, but the wealthy heiress is currently completely out of breath and begging for a quick break, though our boy casually tells her to keep moving since they have plenty of ground to cover, planning to use her top-tier support buffs to tackle a much deadlier class of monsters, specifically targeting a notorious C-rank danger zone known as the Netherflame Boar Base. Standing before the massive high-tech facility, the duo prepares to face their most brutal grind yet. A burly guard warns Zhang Yan that the Netherflame Boar King is a completely different beast, but our boy casually shrugs it off, knowing that high-risk zones yield the absolute best rewards, especially since he has a top-tier S-rank support backing him up for this dangerous run. Wishing them luck as a massive beam of light transports the duo into the dungeon, where Zhang Yan confidently leads the way while Yao Kexin nervously clutches her magical staff. Stepping into the eerie, silent forest, the wealthy healer immediately notices the complete lack of enemies, prompting Zhang Yan to explain that this specific zone only houses one single massive threat, leaving her completely terrified as she realizes they skipped straight to the final boss fight. Suddenly, the ground violently trembles as our boy unsheathes his newly modified azure blade, and right on cue, a colossal shadow-shrouded netherflame boar emerges from the misty darkness. Zhang Yan stands completely unfazed by the giant beast, while Yao Kexin panics in the background, revealing a massive netherflame boar king with glowing blue eyes and razor-sharp tusks. This level 15 demonic beast radiates intense heat as it lets out a deafening roar, prompting our boy to order his wealthy healer to keep her support spells ready. Before the monster can even react, Zhang Yan charges forward at absolute breakneck speed, leaping high into the air to seize the initiative before the beast can strike, planning to use gravity and a rapid rotation to slice clean through its neck, but the colossal boar suddenly roars and launches itself directly into the sky, intercepting his mid-air assault with a violent clash of raw power and steel. Our boy quickly realizes his decapitation strike failed because this giant pig is surprisingly smart. Seizing a split second while suspended in midair, Zhang Yan decides to secretly modify his weapon. With a devious smirk, he instantly triggers his broken modification skill to rewrite the sword's code. Swapping a single letter, he hilariously transforms his basic Cyan Steel sword into a Cyan Steel sword, which instantly boosts his stats to ridiculous levels while granting him a game-breaking armor-shredding passive. Knowing that while he cannot completely defy physics, this temporary upgrade is more than enough. Feeling his attack power multiply fivefold, our boy unleashes a blinding slash of pure energy, tearing straight through the colossal beast's defenses to claim the upper hand in an instant, sending one of the giant boar's massive, razor-sharp tusks crashing violently into the dirt below. As the wounded monster howls in absolute agony, the wealthy healer stands completely frozen in shock, prompting Zhang Yan to quickly revert his weapon's name before she can spot his illegal cheat. Yao Kexin watches in absolute disbelief, unable to comprehend how an E-rank weapon severed that massive tusk. Realizing the cheap blade isn't the secret, she attributes this impossible feat entirely to Zhang Yan's raw power. Standing amidst the swirling dust, our boy looks like an absolute beast with his dual-wielding stance. Spotting his wealthy client completely dazed, Zhang Yan sighs at her bizarre mental gymnastics, urging her to cast a support spell quickly so she can actually leech some experience. Snapping out of her trance, the wealthy healer immediately summons a brilliant burst of holy light. Armed with her massive stat buffs, our boy prepares to deliver the final decisive blow. Plotting his next move, he realizes his broken modification skill makes for a perfect surprise attack. Contemplating whether to rename his newly acquired Demonfall Saber into something absolutely ridiculous like Godfall Saber, but he decides against it to avoid any dangerous magical backlash from an overly grand title. This colossal beast suddenly ignites with blue flames, unleashing its devastating Netherfire Wild Charge skill. But Zhang Yan just smiles, welcoming the chance to wrap up this fight once and for all, as the flaming monster barrels toward him like a runaway train of pure magical destruction. Plotting his next move, our boy decides to rewrite the beast's own attack code on the fly, though he first tells his wealthy client to close her eyes for her own safety, leaving the confused healer wondering what kind of gruesome scene is about to unfold. Assuring her it is for the best, he waits until she completely shuts her eyes, before instantly activating his cheat skill to change the boar's wild charge into a mild charge, hilariously reducing the terrifying boss to a slow-motion target that poses absolutely zero threat, allowing Zhang Yan to deliver a flawless finishing blow while casually reverting his weapon's name. With a single blinding slash, Zhang Yan cuts clean through the monster's final defenses, sending the massive Netherflame Boar King crashing down as the system confirms its defeat, instantly boosting our boy's level twice over as he casually sheathes his modified blade. Meanwhile, the wealthy healer gains 3 levels in a row just by standing there, prompting Zhang Yan to congratulate himself on successfully hiding his game-breaking cheat skill, realizing this rich, obedient healer is the absolute perfect partner for future high-level raids. Turning back to his client, he calmly tells her she can finally open her eyes. And as she slowly blinks away the darkness to see what happened, she spots the colossal smoking carcass of the high-level boss lying defeated on the ground, leaving her completely speechless at how easily this F-rank student soloed a legendary monster. With the boss easily defeated, Zhang Yan casually suggests it is time to head back, while Yao Kexin stands in absolute awe of his incredible talent and gentle nature, suddenly calling out to stop him before he can walk away into the forest. She eagerly steps forward to present his promised payment alongside an extra token of appreciation, leaving our boy completely stunned as he recognizes the legendary spatial ring in her hands. This high-tier magical accessory defies physics, allowing hunters to store massive amounts of gear effortlessly, prompting Zhang Yan to politely decline since even basic storage rings cost a small fortune. But the wealthy healer insists he deserves it for boosting her levels so quickly. Realizing he needs a reliable inventory for his upcoming solo grind in the dangerous wilds, our boy happily accepts the priceless gift, cementing their incredibly lucrative new partnership. To balance the scales, Zhang Yan promises her one unconditional favor in the future, before deciding they have done enough leveling and should finally head back home, only to find the city's freshman leaderboard completely dominated by elite S-rank prodigies. Although our boy currently holds the top spot, he knows the competition is fierce, especially with geniuses like Li Yufeng, an S-rank sword saint dominating close combat, alongside high-agility assassins and blazing brawlers who ruled the rankings in his past life. If he wants to secure the ultimate #1 spot, he must eventually defeat them all. A daunting prospect that actually leaves our overpowered protagonist with a highly confident smirk. But before he can conquer the city, his thoughts drift back to his sister. Realizing he needs to return home immediately to check on her fragile condition, Zhang Yan remembers his past life where greedy elites exploited him, leaving his little sister completely abandoned. Waving goodbye to his wealthy healer partner, our boy promises they will raid another dungeon soon, before heading back to the rundown streets he hasn't seen in years since his tragic death. Remembering that his sister eventually becomes a legendary A-rank ice mage, he smiles at her future potential. Stepping up to his old apartment door, Zhang Yan takes a deep breath and pushes it open, only to find his quiet middle school sister waiting for him with a warm dinner already prepared. Looking at the simple meal, he remembers how she shut down after their parents tragically died. leaving the siblings to eat in a heavy, suffocating silence that speaks volumes about their shared trauma. Flashbacks of their childhood reveal a vibrant, happy family chasing butterflies before the world fell apart. A beautiful memory that was instantly shattered when the brutal demon invasion claimed both of their parents. Mid-bite, his little sister casually drops a massive bombshell that completely ruins his appetite. Jiang Yan freezes in absolute shock, demanding to know why she would make such a reckless decision, especially since her academic and combat grades are straight A's ahead of her big exams. She quietly explains that she saw his name sitting comfortably at the top of the city leaderboard, praising his relentless hard work and predicting he will eventually become a legendary hero, but she believes her own talent is completely worthless compared to his meteoric rise, claiming she should just get a job early to help support their struggling household. Refusing to buy her obvious lie, our boy demands to hear the actual truth behind her sudden decision, only for their tense conversation to be cut short as the front door slowly creaks open, revealing an uninvited visitor who casually steps inside to shatter the heavy silence. This uninvited guest turns out to be a nervous middle-aged man scratching his head sheepishly, who sits on their worn-out sofa while explaining his own financial struggles are piling up, prompting Jiang Yan to recognize him as Uncle Quan, the local microloan lender who supported them. Realizing this unexpected visit is the exact reason his sister suddenly wanted to drop out, since she knew they had absolutely no income to pay off their mounting debts, choosing to sacrifice her own bright future just to fund his college tuition instead. Cutting straight to the point, our boy calmly asks the lender for their exact balance, as the stressed man awkwardly reveals they owe roughly 43,000 in total, but Jiang Yan casually hands over a card loaded with 50,000 to settle everything, leaving his little sister completely dumbfounded as she demands to know where he got that fortune. Wanting to reassure his sister, our boy realizes he must wait until their guest finally leaves. Sensing the heavy family tension, the polite lender quickly excuses himself and slips out the front door. With the lender gone, his sister immediately worries that he obtained the cash through highly illegal means. Placing a gentle hand on her head, our boy reassures her that he earned everything completely legally. Revealing his plan to claim the city's top freshman spot, he promises a massive cash prize is coming, insisting there is absolutely no reason to sacrifice her own bright future just to fund his tuition. Tears well up in her eyes as she realizes her brother saw right through her secret sacrifice. Handing over the card loaded with funds, our boy tells her to focus entirely on her path, flashing a warm, confident smile as he urges her to study and train even harder, teasing that being the little sister of the city's #1 genius comes with serious pressure. Tears stream down his sister's face as she looks up at him with absolute gratitude. Throwing her arms around him, she vows to study hard and never disgrace their family name. Jiang Yan gently pats her head, resolving to secure the city's top scorer title at all costs. To fund their future, our boy immediately starts scouting the perfect high-yield zone for solo grinding, setting his sights on Poison Dragon Valley, a notorious wasteland teeming with lethal threats and massive rewards, where endless waves of high-level monsters gather to provide the ultimate fast-track experience for daring hunters. Rumors suggest a rare dragon nest deep inside, guarding a priceless egg he could easily exploit. Planning to use his broken modification skill to hatch a legendary pet while harvesting valuable magic crystals. With his mind made up, our protagonist prepares to make this dangerous valley his very first conquest. Boarding a transit bus that drops him right at the glowing entrance of the massive Demon Rift, Jiang Yan arrives at the Nanrong Demon Rift Station, preparing to step into the uncharted wilderness, revealing the glowing, red-hued skyline of Nanrong Rift City towering in the distance, which is separated from the real world by a single massive spatial passage. This crucial stronghold is ruled by two level 70 elites who exploited him in his past life. And inside, wealthy hunters strut around showing off their incredibly expensive, high-end gear. Though our boy just laughs, knowing his new spatial ring makes their flashy equipment look like garbage. Walking toward the east gate, he stares up at a blood-red moon hanging over the massive walls, pulling up a map of the rift to locate Poison Dragon Valley's low-level monster zones. With a confident smirk, he realizes this dangerous territory is the absolute perfect place to grind, flashing his student ID card to the gate guards to finally begin his solo leveling journey. Looking at Zhang Jian's ID, the gate guard warns him that Poison Dragon Valley is no rookie training ground. But our boy just casually takes his card back, flashing a calm smile while promising to return alive. Refusing to let a student throw his life away, the guard decides he cannot just stand by, lunging forward to physically restrain the kid before he can step past the safety gates, only for Jiang Yan to effortlessly slip away, leaving behind a faint afterimage as the grab completely misses. This leaves the level 30 veteran completely frozen in shock, unable to comprehend how an F-rank dodged him, until his partner rushes over to stop him, explaining this kid is the legendary rookie record breaker. Whispering in awe, the second guard reveals Jiang Yan is actually the city's top academic and combat prodigy, leaving them both staring in absolute silence as our overpowered protagonist calmly walks into the glowing portal. Ahead of him lies Poison Dragon Valley, a toxic green abyss teeming with high-level danger and endless opportunities. Stepping into the toxic green haze of Poison Dragon Valley, Jiang Yan pulls out a crucial antidote pill, Popping the expensive medicine, he silently curses his empty bank account and the ticking 3-hour limit. Suddenly, a swarm of level 13 poison-winged lizards swoops down from the canopy to greet him. Unleashing a blinding flurry of slashes, he effortlessly cuts the flying pests to ribbons, leaving the dissected beasts to crash heavily onto the forest floor in a heap. System notifications immediately flood his vision, confirming 3 quick kills and a nice experience boost. This impressive yield proves that wilderness grinding is vastly superior to running standard dungeons. To speed things up even further, Zhang Yan activates his game-breaking modification skill, transforming his basic blade into a glowing purple-hued weapon of absolute high-tier destruction. With his newly upgraded gear in hand, our boy is officially ready to begin the hunt. Slicing through the flying pests like a whirlwind, our boy commands the demonic beasts to prepare for doom, and the system rewards his efforts with a massive experience dump, pushing him straight to level 16. Continuing his relentless onslaught against toads and rotbats, he rapidly climbs all the way to level 18, before finally taking a well-deserved break to catch his breath and chug some refreshing water. Though he quickly realizes his luck is absolute garbage since not a single mana crystal has dropped. Suddenly, an arrogant voice cuts through the quiet forest, demanding to know if he cleared the area alone, prompting Zhang Yan to turn around and spot 2 hunters walking out of the toxic green mist. Recognizing the leader as Lu Yuan, an elite S-rank Gale assassin from a highly influential local family, accompanied by a loudmouthed lackey who immediately starts barking orders at our completely unimpressed protagonist, who casually stands up and asks if they honestly thought anyone else could have pulled this off. This loudmouthed lackey immediately flies into a rage, offended that anyone would dare disrespect his boss. But Lu Yuan holds him back, recognizing Zhang Yan and offering him a spot on their elite team. Our boy casually rejects the offer, refusing to let these rich freeloaders leech his hard-earned experience. Fuming at the disrespect, the lackey begs his boss for permission to teach the arrogant kid a lesson. Lu Yuan agrees to let him fight next time, wondering if this solo F rank is actually a genius, prompting the overconfident goon to crack his knuckles, eagerly planning to beat our protagonist to a pulp. Meanwhile, Zhang Yan deep dives into the toxic valley, aiming to hunt a few more toads before his antidote expires. An hour passes with absolutely zero luck, leaving him wandering the desolate wasteland without finding any rare monsters. Although rumors claim a legendary dragon-type beast nest nearby, he has yet to spot a single trace of it, until a sudden high-speed projectile whizzes past his head, instantly putting our overpowered protagonist on high alert. Zhang Yan swings his sword to deflect the incoming projectile, barely reacting in time. Turns out a creepy purple tentacle just tried to take his head off in a sudden sneak attack, but our boy is shocked to find his upgraded sword didn't even leave a scratch on it. Suddenly, a massive shadow leaps through the toxic fog to reveal the culprit behind the ambush, revealing a level 20 miasma demon toad king boasting some seriously nasty venomous skills. Instead of running, Zhang Yan smirks, thrilled to finally harvest a high-value boss crystal from its corpse. This giant beast immediately retaliates by launching its signature skill, shooting a massive tongue straight at him, forcing our protagonist to dodge a flurry of rapid-fire strikes that tear up the ground. While the attack is incredibly fast, he confidently raises his hand after spotting a massive weakness, activating his broken modification skill to hilariously rewrite the boss's deadly attack into a complete mess. This modified skill hilariously forces the giant Toad King's massive tongue to wrap tightly around itself, seizing the perfect opening to leap high into the air for a decisive finishing blow. But his blade bounces off the beast's thick hide, leaving him completely shocked by its defense. As system notifications reveal the boss boosted its armor while his modification skill suddenly expired. Realizing the harsh reality of his broken ability, our boy curses the terrible timing of the cooldown, knowing that fighting higher-level monsters drastically reduces the duration of his reality-bending modifications. Before he can formulate a new plan, the furious Toad King launches another high-speed tongue strike, forcing Zhang Yan to narrowly dodge the lethal attack while keeping his glowing sword ready, flashing a daring smirk as he decides to take a massive gamble to win this fight, channeling his broken modification power directly into his weapon to unleash its true devastating potential. Channeling his broken modification power, his basic blade begins to warp and glitch with chaotic energy, as a blinding crimson light erupts from the steel, signaling a truly terrifying transformation, and the system confirms his Demonfall Saber has successfully evolved into the legendary Demon King Saber. Gripping the newly forged weapon, our boy stands enveloped in a swirling vortex of blood-red flames, though a creepy eyeball on the hilt suddenly awakens, demanding to know who dared summon it. Realizing this cursed blade is seriously bad news, Zhang Yan knows he must end this fight instantly, so he lunges forward with a desperate leap, unleashing a devastating fiery slash at his target, which completely cleaves the giant Miasma Demon Toad King in half in one glorious explosion. Unfortunately, the sheer power of that single strike immediately drains every drop of his stamina, leaving our exhausted protagonist on his knees, panting heavily while cursing the terrifying cost of his victory. Red veins of pure corruption immediately begin crawling up his arm, threatening to consume him entirely. Gritting his teeth, Zhang Yan desperately tries to activate his modification skill to halt the erosion, but his drained body gives out, sending him crashing face-first onto the dirt. Staring helplessly at his hand, our boy realizes he lacks the energy to trigger his cheat ability, while the sentient blade mocks his humanity, demanding he pay the ultimate price for borrowing its power. A massive, terrifying eye manifests in the darkness, threatening to enslave the entire human race. Fortunately, our protagonist is already one step ahead, pulling out a backup weapon with a calm smirk, reminding the arrogant Demon King that this is hardly his first time dealing with cursed weapons. With a swift, brutal strike, he drives his blade directly into the cursed sword's glowing eye, unleashing a massive explosion of crimson energy that completely shatters the entity's dark hold. This sealed Demon King screams in absolute fury, promising to tear Zhangyan's soul apart, while our exhausted protagonist collapses onto the cold ground, desperately catching his breath. Fortunately, stabbing the cursed eye successfully halts the corruption creeping up his arm, leaving him to plan his next move once his drained stamina finally recovers. Resting against a rock, he recalls a similar disaster from his previous life, when a far more terrifying Demon King descended and nearly wiped out an entire city. Thanks to that past trauma, Zhang Yan learned the secret to neutralizing these cursed weapons, though he still wonders if these godlike entities are merely high-level rift monsters, or if they actually originate from some dark, undiscovered dimension beyond their own. Standing back up, he uses his modification skill to safely rename the blade and claim his loot. Standing over the defeated boss, Zhang Yan eagerly waits to see what kind of loot drops, and right on cue, a glowing purple magic crystal materializes from the toxic fog, leaving our boy grinning like a madman at a massive $100,000 payday. Next, he sweeps up the giant toad's corpse to harvest its high-grade materials, planning to bypass the official markets and squeeze maximum profit from the local black market. Suddenly, a massive system notification pops up to confirm he also defeated an unknown entity, pushing his level straight to 20 thanks to the bonus experience from that creepy eyeball, which sparks a brilliant idea to repeatedly summon and stab the demon to exploit the system, until he remembers that messing up just once would unleash a city-destroying apocalypse. Deciding that power leveling isn't worth a total societal collapse, he wisely drops the dangerous plan. Reaching level 20 means unlocking a brand new innate skill, leaving Zhang Yan eager to see his reward. This system grants him a dismantling ability alongside a seemingly useless farming skill called Pest Immunity. But our clever protagonist realizes changing just one character transforms it into a god-tier damage immunity. While the restrictions will likely be heavy, having a literal cheat code shield is the ultimate backup plan. Deciding he has accomplished enough for one day, he begins leaping through the toxic forest canopy. Suddenly, a suspicious presence lurking in the branches above catches his sharp attention. Recognizing the intruder, he realizes Lu Yuan's arrogant lackey has actually followed him deep into the valley. This overconfident goon is Lu Dao, a level 17 assassin who thinks he just found easy prey. Activating his quick-step skill for a massive agility boost, the arrogant hunter lunges forward with daggers drawn. He confidently aims for a lethal strike, completely delusional about the massive gap between their actual power levels. Zhang Yan casually deflects the sneak attack with a single effortless swing of his blade, sending a powerful shockwave that completely shatters the assassin's pathetic attempt at an ambush, leaving Lu Tao slumped against a rock, coughing up blood and questioning his entire life. While the terrified goon realizes our protagonist also possesses an incredibly rare and expensive storage ring. Strolling through the toxic mist, Zhang Yan looks like an absolute boss as his opponent panics, reminding the defeated assassin that raw level numbers mean nothing without actual combat experience, before noting that only Lu Tao's elite S-rank boss might actually pose a decent challenge. Suddenly, a sharp gust of wind rustles the trees, sending a single leaf drifting downward, which is instantly sliced clean in half by an incredibly fast, stealthy projectile, prompting our smug protagonist to smile, realizing the elite assassin leader has finally decided to show up. Lu Yuan strikes from above with blinding speed, but Zhang Yan effortlessly blocks the lethal ambush. Admiring the craftsmanship, the elite assassin casually compliments our protagonist's glowing blade mid-clash. Zhang Yan smirks right back, returning the compliment while keeping his guard completely locked. Before pushing off each other to create some breathing room in the foggy forest, Lu Yuan demands to see if the top-ranked freshman actually lives up to the massive hype, which only amuses our boy who loves nothing more than humbling, arrogant, high-tier hunters. Raising the stakes, Zhang Yan proposes a little wager where the loser forfeits their precious weapon, an offer the elite assassin gladly accepts before unleashing his S-rank Gale Stride skill, leaving our protagonist grinning at the thought of adding another expensive weapon to his collection. While Lu Yuan charges forward like a purple blur, betting everything on his absolute speed. Lu Yuan unleashes a flurry of blindingly fast strikes, but Zhang Yan effortlessly blocks every single blow. Even our boy has to admit this S-rank speed is impressive, keeping his guard locked tight. Meanwhile, the injured lackey cheers from the sidelines, completely convinced his boss has already won. This arrogant assassin confidently presses the attack, believing an F-rank hunter stands absolutely zero chance. He channels his energy into a final, decisive strike meant to end the battle right here. But Zhang Yan suddenly catches his opponent's wrist mid-swing, completely shattering the assassin's smug confidence. With a cold smirk, our protagonist prepares to deliver a brutal counterattack to finish the fight. Realizing he was completely outplayed, the elite assassin finally understands the terrifying gap in their power. Instead of panicking, Lu Yuan flashes a dark grin, thrilled to finally face a worthy opponent, before sacrificing his own positioning to narrowly escape the lethal blow and reset the fight. Lu Yuan mocks our boy for abandoning his weapon during their high-speed clash. But Zhang Yan just smiles, completely unfazed by the elite assassin's condescending praise. This arrogant young master asks how he plans to fight without a blade, before casually pulling out another expensive short sword from his high-grade storage ring. Realizing his opponent is a spoiled rich heir, our protagonist finds the situation highly amusing, knowing that crushing a pampered genius will make this victory feel so much sweeter. Suddenly, a terrifying purple aura erupts around Lu Yuan as he prepares his ultimate skill, admitting he never expected to waste this trump card on anyone but the legendary Sword Saint. Activating his Gale Fierce Slash, the assassin unleashes a devastating storm of razor-sharp wind blades, forcing Jiang Yan to slide beneath the lethal energy waves with perfect split-second timing. Dodging the storm, Jiang Yan respects the raw power boost of a high-tier combat class, especially when dealing with an S-rank genius who can spam devastating ranged slashes. But our boy notices these massive wind attacks are draining the assassin's stamina rapidly, meaning his best bet is to stay hidden and wait for a single, decisive opening. Slipping into the thick green fog, our protagonist completely vanishes from his opponent's sight. Lu Yuan calmly scans the canopy, acknowledging that running away was actually a smart move, before channeling a massive surge of purple energy to flush his target out, unleashing a colossal shockwave designed to completely obliterate any potential hiding spot in the forest. This devastating blast tears through the trees, lighting up the misty valley in a blinding flash, leaving the arrogant assassin to smugly admire the absolute destruction of his ultimate attack. Looking around the devastated forest, Lu Yuan realizes his target has completely vanished from sight. But a sudden chill down his spine warns him that the hunter has become the prey. Spinning around, the elite assassin unleashes a desperate counterslash to intercept the incoming strike, only to realize he just wasted his energy slicing a decoy tree stump in half. Before he can recover, Zhang Yan appears right behind him, holding a blade to his throat, leaving the S-rank genius sweating bullets over how an F-ranker completely outmaneuvered him. Though his massive ego refuses to let him accept defeat against a supposedly inferior class, so he triggers his Gale Ring shield, desperately trying to blow our protagonist back. Realizing his opponent has also surpassed level 20, Zhang Yan prepares his next move, channeling his own chaotic energy into his blade to shatter the assassin's final defense. Zhang Yan's chaotic strike completely shatters the assassin's shield, sending Lu Yan flying back in absolute disbelief. This shockwave of the impact rips through the remaining trees, clearing a massive path in the dense fog. Instead of finishing his opponent, our protagonist casually turns around and begins walking away with his blade. Deciding that a petty school rivalry isn't worth a murder charge, he chooses to spare the elite assassin's life. Turns out Zhang Yan remembers Lu Yuan from his past life as a heroic leader who fought monster invasions. Meanwhile, the heavily injured young master struggles to breathe, desperately planning a sneaky point-blank wind attack. Determined to save his bruised ego, Lu Yuan resolves to severely wound our boy despite his depleted stamina. But the harsh reality of being completely outclassed by a supposedly weak F-rank hunter finally starts sinking in. Although he questions how an F-rank became this strong, his arrogant S-rank pride refuses to accept defeat, leaving him staring helplessly at Zhang Yan's departing silhouette as the swirling winds slowly begin to settle. Lu Yuan grips his dagger in sheer panic, bracing himself for a brutal finishing blow. But instead of a lethal strike, a calm, open hand suddenly reaches down toward him, leaving the defeated genius completely stunned as he stares up at his supposed enemy. Zhang Yan casually offers to call it a draw, praising the assassin's impressive combat skills, which completely throws Lu Yuan off, making him question our protagonist's sudden change of heart, while our boy smoothly explains that he only respects opponents who can actually push him. This unexpected gesture of respect instantly touches the young master's bruised but grateful ego. Humbled by the experience, he silently thanks our protagonist for showing him true strength. Reaching out, Lu Yuan firmly grasps Zhang Yan's hand to seal their newfound rivalry, before promising to settle the score fair and square at the upcoming freshman tournament. Zhang Yan releases the young master's hand, warning him to train harder to remain a worthy rival. But the angry lackey immediately starts screaming threats at our protagonist for daring to hurt his boss, only for Lu Yuan to instantly shut him down, demanding absolute respect for their formidable opponent. Looking back, the humbled S-rank genius vows to bring his absolute best to their next encounter, leaving our boy standing alone in the toxic mist as the defeated duo disappears into the trees. Smiling to himself, Zhang Yan realizes his opponent is still completely oblivious to his true power, since shouting out skill names in battle is basically a death sentence against a real professional. Although his smug satisfaction quickly fades when he remembers he walked away with absolutely zero loot. Scratching his head in disappointment, he laments returning that expensive dagger and working this hard for free, until a strange glowing anomaly in the green fog suddenly catches his eye and stops him cold. This shockwave from his previous clash clears away the thick mist, revealing a hidden path ahead. Spotting a strange green fog, Zhang Yan decides to investigate in hopes of finding a boss monster. He quickly edits his newly acquired cheat skill, swapping damage immunity for temporary poison resistance. This clever adjustment saves him from wasting expensive antidote pills while exploring the hazardous terrain. Stepping boldly into the toxic fumes, our boy wonders what kind of deadly creature awaits him. Soon he discovers a massive lake of glowing green water radiating a strange, ominous energy. Speculating that a legendary poison dragon might be lurking below, his excitement begins to build. Diving straight into the toxic depths, he finds nothing but disappointing low-level magical beasts. Suddenly, a massive shadow with a glowing red eye looms directly behind our unsuspecting protagonist, revealing a level 18's armor crocodile ready to swallow him whole in one bite. Dodging the massive jaws underwater, Zhangyan realizes his hunch about a giant lake monster was correct. While the giant ice armor crocodile lunges forward, completely unaware it just picked the wrong prey. Summoning his glowing blue blade, our boy happily prepares to harvest some high-grade monster materials, before activating his armor penetration effect to pierce the beast's skull with a blinding flash, leaving the massive beast dead, though its giant carcass is too big for his storage ring, prompting our clever protagonist to test out a handy new dismantle skill he recently acquired. This level 1 ability breaks down items and even offers a sweet 10% chance for double loot. So he activates the skill, watching glowing blue digital cubes materialize around his hand, which quickly spread to engulf the entire crocodile carcass in a massive grid of data, before the beast completely dissolves into a spectacular explosion of raw materials and light. This loot screen pops up, offering some garbage bones, terrible tasting meat, and a decent D-rank skin. Deciding the skin is actually worth keeping, our boy happily pockets the only valuable material. But before he can swim back up, a strange underwater current catches his attention, leading him straight toward the glowing source of this highly concentrated toxic smoke. Naturally, his gamer instincts kick in, forcing him to dive even deeper to investigate. As he swims through a breathtaking cavern illuminated by a vibrant radioactive green glow, he realizes the entire surrounding terrain has been completely altered by these intense toxins. Landing on the crystal-covered floor, he marvels at how incredibly lucky he might actually be. Peeking cautiously around a massive glowing pillar, his eyes suddenly widen in absolute shock. Resting right before him is a massive level 43 poison dragon in its growth stage. Zhang Yan confirms it's a level 43 poison dragon currently in its growth stage, realizing this legendary beast could easily surpass level 70 once she reaches full maturity. But those glowing green dragon eggs look like the ultimate jackpot for his grafting skill, prompting our boy to plan a stealthy heist to avenge the fallen human hunters. Suddenly, a massive underwater tremor shakes the cavern, creating a violent green vortex above him, forcing Zhang Yan to look up in surprise as a deafening roar echoes through the cavern, only to witness another massive dragon descending with a fresh wild boar carcass in its talons. Ducking behind a crystal pillar, he realizes the female dragon actually has a protective mate, making this a highly dangerous 2-on-1 fight that he definitely cannot win just yet. Swimming back to the surface, our protagonist smiles as his next major goal becomes crystal clear. Zhang Yan vows to grow stronger and return for those legendary dragon eggs, imagining a glorious future where he rides a massive beast and rules Nanyang City. For now, he heads straight to the local black market to cash in his loot, arriving at Nanyang City's massive underground black market, a towering vertical slum of illegal trade, which is rumored to be guarded by a terrifying level 60 Great Master. This legendary powerhouse keeps the peace, ensuring no one dares to start any trouble, allowing criminals and shady merchants to trade stolen goods completely under the radar. Spotting a high-end shop called the Golden Jade Pavilion, our boy decides to step inside, meeting Chin Yu, the gorgeous and highly influential owner he remembers from his past life, where some desperate local hunters are already begging her for a better deal. Chin Yu calmly puffs her pipe, telling the complaining hunters to take their business elsewhere. Turning her gaze toward our protagonist, she curiously asks if a high schooler has anything to trade. This desperate sellers immediately scoff at Zhang Yan, judging his cheap clothes with pure, unadulterated arrogance. One angry hunter even points a finger, aggressively demanding our boy leave before he ruins their deal. Unfazed by the hostility, Zhang Yan casually raises his hand to show off a glowing blue ring. Both bullies instantly freeze in absolute shock, recognizing a luxury storage item they could never afford. With a smug grin, our protagonist activates the device to dump his entire inventory onto the floor. A massive mountain of rare monster parts suddenly materializes, completely burying the shop's modest showroom, leaving the two arrogant hunters completely speechless as they stare at the legendary haul in disbelief. Even the elegant shop owner loses her composure, realizing this kid actually conquered the deadly Dragon Valley. Our boy casually pulls out a glowing purple magic crystal, adding it to his massive pile. This two arrogant hunters instantly lose their minds, screaming in absolute shock at the legendary item. Staring in shock, the gorgeous shop owner wonders what kind of background this mysterious kid actually has, while Zhang Yan calmly asks her to calculate the total value of his impressive haul. He mockingly tells her to hurry up so he doesn't interrupt the bully's supposedly massive deal. Inside the VIP room, Chin Yu calculates the total payout to a whopping 238,000, before sliding a sleek gold VIP card across the table to complete their lucrative transaction. Accepting the card with a polite nod, our protagonist appreciates her straightforward and professional business style, as their hands briefly brush together during the smooth exchange of the high-value payment. Chin Yu smiles, offering him a 10% bonus on any future magic crystals he brings. Zhang Yan holds up his shiny new VIP card, politely thanking the gorgeous boss for her generosity, before turning on his heel and walking out of the luxurious shop with a satisfied smirk. knowing she only gave him preferential treatment because she recognizes his massive future potential. Stepping back out into the bustling underground market, our boy blends right into the shady crowd, completely unaware that two local thugs are already watching him from the dark corners. Though his absolute confidence remains unshaken since true power speaks for itself in this world, especially if he wants to secure national-level resources by dominating the upcoming city tournament. Meanwhile, the greedy muggers toss their cigarettes aside, eagerly plotting to teach him a painful lesson. Trailing behind our protagonist as he navigates the narrow, trash-filled alleys of the vertical slum, while Jungyan casually plans his next shopping spree to buy some high-grade defensive armor. Walking down the alley, Jungyan immediately notices the two thugs trailing closely behind him. But instead of panicking, our boy simply smiles as everything goes exactly according to plan, realizing these guys carry the heavy scent of human blood and likely deal in stolen goods. Taking them out will basically be a public service that earns him some easy karma. Meanwhile, the greedy muggers celebrate their luck, thinking this deserted alley is the perfect grave. As they quietly close the distance and corner our protagonist in the dark shadows, only for Zhang Yan to casually turn around and mock them for taking so long. This thugs boast about their combat classes, warning our boy that he is their next victim, which prompts our protagonist to unleash some top-tier sarcasm about being a helpless F-rank crafter. Infuriated by his complete lack of fear, the thugs draw their weapons and prepare to strike. Zhang Yan flashes a smug grin, openly admitting that he is indeed mocking their pathetic threats. Enraged, the lead thug lunges forward with his glowing green daggers, activating a rapid slash skill. Meanwhile, his partner coats his blade in a deadly purple poison, aiming for a quick kill. Unfazed by the dual assault, our boy casually snaps his fingers to activate his broken modification skill. Instantly, the system rewrites the first thug's attack, turning his rapid slash into a self-harming nightmare, leaving the screaming mugger completely helpless as his own hands turn the blades against his face. Watching his partner mutilate himself, the second thug freezes in absolute horror at the bizarre sight. But Zhang Yan is already editing the second skill, forcing the poison straight into the user's veins. Purple veins instantly erupt across the thug's face as the lethal toxins backfire with brutal efficiency, and he collapses onto the cold pavement, utterly baffled by his own sudden, self-inflicted demise. Looking down at the groveling thugs, Zhang Yan casually asks if they are already finished, before his eyes glow with a cold light as he prepares to strike back. Summoning his massive glowing blade, our boy reminds them of their long list of crimes, delivering swift and absolute retribution with a single clean sweep of his sword. On the blood-stained ground, a discarded wanted poster reveals these thugs were actually B-rank fugitives. Picking up the paper, Zhang Yan finds it hilarious that criminals actually collect their own wanted posters, tossing the bounty sheet aside since claiming the official reward would draw way too much attention. Instead, he rummages through their gear and pulls out a decent-looking dark trench coat, which the system identifies as a low-tier E-rank wolfskin coat with basic poison resistance, prompting our clever protagonist to activate his broken modification skill to turn this trash into treasure. This system immediately processes the modification, upgrading the cheap wolfskin into a legendary Keelan trench coat. Slipping the newly upgraded gear on, Zhang Yan looks like an absolute boss in his high-tier threads, which feature glowing green magic patterns of the legendary poison Keelan woven right into the fabric, giving him the perfect defensive boost just in time for the upcoming college entrance examinations. This time, our boy is fully prepared to absolutely dominate the competition and shock Nanyang City. Meanwhile, back at their modest apartment, his studious sister Xiaoyao is busy cramming for her classes, when Zhang Yan suddenly bursts through the front door loaded down with massive bags of groceries, leaving the poor girl completely speechless as she helps him unload this ridiculously expensive shopping haul, before she notices his sleek new trench coat looks suspiciously like high-grade, top-tier combat armor. Smiling warmly, our protagonist proudly claims he earned it honestly before casually offering to raise her allowance. Xiao Yao frantically waves her hands, insisting that her current pocket money is more than enough, but Zhang Yan gently grabs her hand and raises her allowance to 500 instead, leaving the poor girl staring at the thick stack of bills in absolute disbelief. Patting her head, our boy tells her to stop worrying and focus on his upcoming exam rally, confidently promising to breeze through the event and treat her to a massive feast afterward. Curiously, she tilts her head and asks what level her overpowered brother has actually reached, prompting Zhang Yan to casually flex his status as a mere level 20 powerhouse, which is an absolutely insane milestone for anyone preparing for the upcoming college entrance exam. While average students barely scrape past level 10, only elite prodigies ever touch his current rank, and reaching it without a wealthy family's backing is basically considered a flat-out miracle. Zhang Yan casually recalls how he accidentally hit level 20 by slaying a Demon King's clone, admitting that climbing any higher without massive state resources would be a real struggle, but securing the top spot in Nanyang City will change his entire destiny overnight. With absolute confidence, our boy prepares to take the college entrance exam by storm. This big day finally arrives at the massive Nanrong No. 1 middle school gymnasium, where hundreds of hopeful students gather in neat rows to hear the principal's speech, as Principal Ouyang Li passionately yells about changing their destinies with their own hands, prompting Jiang Yan to silently roast the cliché speech while acknowledging its absolute truth. High-scoring graduates can become elite trailblazers, earning massive state funding to explore dangerous demon realms, while those who join the military can rise to become powerful garrison commanders. This principle explains that average students usually end up as local guardian knights with limited resources, while those who fail are doomed to live completely ordinary lives without any hope of breakthroughs. A harsh reality since 80% of the population never makes the cut. Standing in the crowded gym, Zhang Yan reflects on how brutally hierarchical this post-invasion world really is. Without real strength, getting crushed by society is only a matter of time. But the principal suddenly announces that anyone above level 15 gets a free pass from the preliminary test, kicking off the selection process as the massive crowd of students prepares for evaluation. Panic instantly erupts through the ranks as underprepared kids realize they missed the easy cutoff. Our boy casually smiles, knowing his level 20 status easily spares him from the hassle, until their homeroom teacher reveals a bizarre catch that might force Zhang Yan to fight anyway. This teacher calls Zhang Yan out, explaining that despite his level 20 status, he still has to take the test because of his pathetic F-rank crafting class. Whispers immediately ripple through the crowd as classmates pity the supposedly weak crafter. One particularly arrogant student sneers, loudly celebrating that trash-tier classes finally get what they deserve. Patting his shoulder, the teacher apologizes for the unfair rules but urges him not to lose hope. Our boy simply shrugs with a calm smile, completely unfazed by the sudden change of plans, while his hater secretly plots to rally the other students to gang up on him early. A sharp whistle suddenly echoes across mass arena, signaling the start of the brutal trials. This preliminary phase pits 10 random students against each other in a chaotic, free-for-all battle, where a brutal 90% elimination rate quickly weeds out the weak in spectacular fashion. Looking down at the arena, the school administrators openly mock the low-level students struggling below, with the bald vice principal pointing out that most kids got stuck with trash-tier crafting classes. But the principal quickly brings up Zhang Yan, their top academic and martial arts prodigy. Sighing deeply, the vice principal admits he had high hopes before the kid awakened F-rank trash. He reminds the principal of the brutal reality of what an F-rank rating actually represents, explaining how the system literally created the F-rank category just to label the absolute worst classes, essentially rebranding trash to sound slightly more polite for the unfortunate crafters who failed to qualify. Despite Zhang Yan's perfect past record, the administrator insists that class disparity makes victory completely impossible, though the principal counters by bringing up a legendary level 70 powerhouse who also started at F-rank. Suddenly, a sharp whistle cuts through their debate as the referee calls up Zhang Yan's group. This referee finally calls Zhang Yan's name along with the other 9 combatants, and our boy steps forward with a smirk, eager to wrap this up quickly. Whispers immediately spread among his opponents, who recognize him as the school's top-ranked genius. But they quickly realize his F-rank class makes him the perfect target to gang up on, prompting Zhang Yan to casually invite all 9 of them to attack him at once, which absolutely infuriates the group as they brandish their weapons and boast about their superior classes, charging forward in a coordinated strike to teach the arrogant crafter a lesson about class disparity. Up in the VIP booth, the administrators lean in to watch the absolute chaos unfold, while Zhang Yan calmly reaches out his hand, calling their cheap weapons completely pathetic, summoning his massive sword from a high-tier storage ring that leaves the principal completely speechless. This vice principal's jaw drops, realizing only a high-level master could forge such a legendary weapon. Down in the arena, our boy moves like a ghost, completely outclassing the group with blinding speed. Watching from the stands, the other students lose their minds over his insane agility and combat prowess. Standing tall amidst the chaos, Zhang Yan casually announces that the match is already over. One stubborn opponent scoffs, pointing out that none of them have actually taken any damage yet, prompting our protagonist to flash a knowing smirk as he asks if they are truly sure. Instantly, the fabric of their uniform slices open, revealing perfectly clean cuts across their chests, leaving all 9 opponents staring down at their ruined clothes in absolute, paralyzing terror. Shaking with fear, the lead attacker realizes they only survived because our boy chose to spare them, while Zhang Yan stands there looking like an absolute legend, ready to claim his effortless victory. Staring at their sliced clothes, the terrified opponents realize they stand absolutely zero chance, and they immediately raise their hands to surrender before he can strike again, prompting the announcer to officially declare Zhang Yan the undisputed winner of the group, leaving our boy with 3 whole days to treat his sister to a massive feast. But his smug smile reveals he actually had a brilliant secondary motive for this fight, since showing off his legendary sword publicly gives him the perfect cover story for owning it. While up in the stands, the stunned administrators realize his true power far exceeds their expectations, even comparing his insane potential to the legendary heroes of the previous generation, hoping their school might finally produce a legendary citywide top scorer this year. Little do they know, this F-rank crafter is about to turn their world upside down.